It's 5:30. You look at the stove, there's nothing on it. You look at the pantry, your mind is a swirl of anxious thoughts of, well, will they eat this? Or what about that? I'm not sure. And then you hear that yelling that happens at this time of night when everyone is tired and hungry, and you need to figure out how to get supper on the table quickly. I'm going to share my tips for making meal planning and mealtime easier for you and also take care of your own nutritional needs.
Hey, friend, do the daily demands of family life leave little time for self care? Are you losing yourself in the process of caring for others? Are you ready to make self care and healthy boundaries a natural part of your day while embracing your roles as a wife and mom? Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 17 years to a neurodiverse man, mom of 3 neurodiverse kids, and many more roles. Welcome to the Moms in Neurodiverse Families podcast. Get ready to begin your self-care journey. Grab your planner and listen in as we take another small step towards a peaceful, healthier you.
If you are new to my podcast, or maybe you've been a long-time listener, but you haven't signed up for my email list, I encourage you to go to the show notes and click the email list link, and there you can sign up. And about every 2 weeks or so, I send out a newsletter with personal stories along with encouragement and ideas for your own life. And I'd love to have you join me. Today, we are going to focus on an area of life for both your health and also your family's health, and that is meal planning. And this has been and still continues to be tricky for me at times. I'm sure you've been there when it is 5:30 or whatever time, like a half an hour before supper, and you are realizing you lost track of time because you're dealing with someone's behaviors or meltdowns or some type of emergency, and you realize it is time for supper, and you know that there's that small opportunity to get the food into your family before all craziness breaks loose because people are hungry and tired from a long day. And you're looking through your cupboards, and I'm speaking from personal experience, especially looking back many years ago, where I'm frantically trying to figure out what I could throw together. And it was frustrating, especially when some of my children were eating very limited food items and others were getting bored with that food items. And then my own anxiety would start rising. I mean, can you relate? Because you're thinking through already on the responses and behaviors when the non-preferred food is being served, or it's food that they have strong aversions to because of how it feels in their mouth when they eat. And you begin spinning and thinking, what am I going to do? I'm going to share with you 3 different methods I have used for meal planning that has helped, and I use them in different ways. But to give you some encouragement that you can take care of your needs, because it is so important for you to be having meals with a protein and not like, 5 grams of protein. I mean, I'm talking about 20 grams of protein, 30 grams of protein. You have good healthy fats and you have carbs, carbohydrates, balanced macros, or whichever type of macro situation you have going on, but at least having a balance to it, not too much starch and not too much fat, but just in all categories. And then also for your kids as well, because I'm sure you've experienced when they had a bunch of sugar or carbohydrates, which is a shorter energy. And please don't get me wrong, there is a need for carbohydrates. Unfortunately, so much in our American diet is heavy in carbohydrates, and they cause a quick blood blood sugar spike, and then the blood sugar goes down and crashes. Especially if it's more of refined as in white flour, white sugar, white rice, that acts like almost pure sugar to the body. And having complex carbohydrates can help having the energy stay in the system longer. And again, this anxiety of I need to feed my kids, but yet they revolt depending what I feed them, it creates this whole loop. So Why are we even talking about this? Because your health matters, and so does your family members' health matters. And the goal is to be raising kids who are able to eat healthy, balanced meals. It may take us a couple years to get there, but that's the goal. But also for your spouse, if they're always eating junk food, they're not going to be feeling good. So offering these good, healthy meals, but also, again, if you are not taken care of, you do not have the energy you need to be patient and involved with your children's lives and your spouse. Here are the 3 methods that I use in various ways for meal planning. The first method, which is the simplest when you have adult needs to consider along with kids, is the bowl method. I love the bowl method. When you think of like Chipotle, they have the Chipotle bowl. There, if you go on Pinterest and you type in meal bowl ideas, there are so many different ideas from both breakfast, lunch, and supper. And the reason I love it is you can put all of it in one bowl and reduce dishes, but also you're able to split up the meal. So, for example, let's use a chicken bowl with the base of, let's do rice, brown rice. With that, you can serve within the bowl a layer of brown rice that's been cooked with some salt and different seasonings, a little bit of butter, olive oil. And then you can add a layer of sauteed chicken. And then you're adding in avocados along with some different vegetables and then a sauce. You can change so much with this. If you keep the basic rice, brown rice, and the chicken, you can keep changing all the veggies, all the sauces, and make a different meal. Anything from Mexican to Asian to Greek, just from that one concept. Now, when you have picky eaters, which I've talked about in the past, and I will put a link in the show notes to my other meal episodes. But with the bowl method, you are able on a plate with plenty of space between each individual item, have rice, the chicken, avocados, the sauce by itself, along with the vegetables. All of it can be broken up. And you can work with each child individually. For example, maybe for one, rice, they love starches. So rice is a simple, easy win. And then you're working with them to eat some of the chicken and they're just trying maybe the sauce. They're just sticking a finger in it and just like licking it or smelling it. There's a whole beautiful process you can do with this. But as adults, you're able to have a complete meal. Another example of a bowl method is the cheeseburger bowl. This one I love. It's simple French fries, or we do actually homemade potatoes. We just dice and cook up the potatoes, and then you add some cheese, and then you put ground hamburger that you've cooked. You put that on top. You can do another layer of cheese. You can have sour cream in there. You can add tomatoes. You can do some ketchup. You can drizzle different special sauces, spice it up. I mean, there's really so many. Whatever you would put on a burger, you can do in this bowl. You can put onions. You can do peppers. Again, so many options. And for the kids' plates, you're breaking it up. And this helps with that variety. Again, I can't say enough about the bowl method, working both for having guests over and working for kids. And if you need ideas, just go to Pinterest and type in meal bowl ideas. And remember, whatever you see all mixed up can so easily be separated. Okay, next. Sometimes I just use the protein method. And what that means for me is that I pick a protein for each supper of the night, each of the weeknight. And by doing that, I start with the protein, and from there, I add everything else in. For me, I find it easy to add in a starch or carbohydrate, and adding in the vegetables and a healthy fat. That comes to me pretty easily. But usually the protein, that is like the centerpiece for the meal. So with this method, I might look at getting a beef roast and a big enough one where I could split it between 2 meals. So maybe that would be like a Monday and a Wednesday and Thursday. Then I will have fish And that won't be any leftovers for that, but that maybe is on a Tuesday. And then I will also have a some chicken, and maybe I have enough chicken where I make it enough for 2 meals, and that will be, let's say, like a Wednesday, Friday. There's different ways you can organize it, but what I like about this method is that when you cook chicken, and I'm talking like you dice it, you cook it in butter or olive oil, and you add the basic seasons of salt, pepper. Usually, I do paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. It makes such a great base that I can use it with different types of meals, depending upon like if I want to have more of a just home cooked meal with mashed potatoes, or I can spice it up and make it and add some extra seasonings after I cooked it to make it more into a Mexican dish. So by picking out those different meats, you can make your meat in a larger quantity and be able to use it for 2 meals and save yourself time. Okay, the third method, which I have done, and I really like this method as well, is having themed days. And this might work really well for your family because routine and expectations really help so they can kind of know what to expect. By theme days, I look at the week and I say, like a common thing like Tuesdays is taco night. That's just many people Taco Tuesday. There's different phrases that you can use. It can be Pasta Thursday, but finding a theme for each day of the week. And I also look at my schedule. For example, for us, Tuesdays are a very tight window for meals. So usually Tuesdays is always something very quick, and I usually have taco meat in the fridge or freezer, and so I'm able to use that as a meal. While on Wednesdays, I usually have more time for meal prep along with Thursday and Fridays. So you can see picking out these theme meals, I would pick something if you know like at certain nights it is crazy because you have like an hour window, then I would be picking very simple, quick to make ideas. So for example, those nights would be pasta night with chicken tenders, the ready-made chicken tenders. There's a few brands that I have used that, once a week when we need a quick meal, we can just throw it into the oven. The pasta takes 10 minutes to cook. And then I have vegetables that are also being cooked at the same time. That's my really quick meal. And then the sauces, you can do different sauces. You can have red sauce for the chicken. You can do honey. You can do honey mustard. You can do ranch. Again, options are endless, but you're changing things up with the sauces. And maybe you're doing red sauce and then you're doing a white sauce. You're adding Parmesan cheese, or maybe you add ricotta cheese. I mean, again, all these alterations really help. Those are called jig and jags, when you are making adjustments to repeated meals so that people don't get tired of it. And that has been a struggle in our house because of food preferences and limitations. And again, my goal is always to work in increasing their interest in food. So other theme days you can look at, it could be Greek, you can do pizza night. Oftentimes Friday is either pizza night for us or hamburger night. There's Mexican, there is Indian. I have loved butter chicken, has been a dish surprisingly has worked really well in my family. And I'm looking at incorporating more Indian dishes. But that's a nice thing of having, if you made up a whole bunch of rice, brown rice, you could use that for a Mexican night and you can use that for a Indian night. So that's where you get this process going. You begin finding patterns and you begin to decide like what is the ways you can make it easier for you. So again, I mentioned the bowl method, which again is super fun and easy and works when you have adults and kids. The protein method, that works well if you're going to the grocery store and you want to buy some bulk meat and cook things, cook less, and you want to make up the meat, let's say like beef roast. One day it's beef roast with stewed vegetables, and the next day you're having mashed potatoes, but you cooked up the beef roast earlier in the week and you saved yourself that time for later on. And the third method is having a theme day. Each day of the week, that meal has a theme. They know that Tuesday is taco night, Wednesday is a pasta night. I mean, again, what makes sense for you and your family. And I've had to adjust depending upon the season of life we're in. I've made changes, For example, summertime, I go much more charcuterie board, kind of on a bowl method idea, but really I go very low key in summer where it's a whole bunch of food that's laid out and they basically grab it and go. Where during the winter months, I have more comfort food and I do more of the protein method with stews and with soups and such. So figure out what would be the easiest way for you to start first. And because the goal is for you to get healthy food into your body that is fuel for you to be able to do the roles that only you can do. And secondly, you're giving fuel to your family for them to be regulated, eating healthy, for them to have the energy to process all the different challenges they have in their life, and also to live life to its fullest, to have fun. Kids are more likely to go outside and play, go outside and do other activities when they have a full stomach and they have good, healthy energy. I've noticed, usually around the holiday times, any holiday throughout the year, if we're eating higher levels of sugar, higher levels of starch with no balance of protein, that my kids can be more lethargic and wanting to stay in. So I do like this to have, and I'm always like, kids, you got to go outside. It's time to go out there and get some sunshine and fresh energy. But it's easier when they have good nutritional food in their body to help them. So a question you can ask yourself, if this seems overwhelming, just consider this. What would it feel like if you had at least 50%, like half of your suppers pre-planned out in advance? And even maybe there's leftovers and you make a little, in a glass dish, you put in a freezer meal for yourself so that when you are really tired, that you have a healthy meal to go to. What would it be like for you? I mean, for many of us, that can be a game changer. That means that those are nights that there's a plan and you're not stressed and your anxiety is less. Therefore, your sympathetic system is not going crazy. There are so many benefits. So just start with one day, just one meal. Figure out what makes more sense to you. Do you like the bowl, protein, or theme days? And just pick one meal that you know you can do lots of alterations on, and then add on. Every week, add on one more supper that you can do that. And if your goal is just every week you add on one more meal, eventually, where will you be in 2 months? I mean, that's 8 meals. So it will take time. We have to do things a little differently than everyone else. We can't rush this stuff. But if you're really overwhelmed, that's my suggestion to you, is just one every week. And keep doing that. And eventually you're going to have an amazing repertoire of meals that you can, and I put these on cards too. I have these, the size of a business card, and I have all these different meal ideas. And when I get stuck, I pull them out and I begin going through it and like, no. Oh, yep, that's good. And I just throw those cards and I pull out 7 of them and I have supper then figured out for the next week. So that can be your goal, is getting to the point where you have a bunch of like recipe cards or meal cards that you can go ahead and look through and be like, yep, this is what we're going to do for this next week. And all of a sudden, your stress decreases. If you enjoyed any of this episode or any certain ideas, please send me a message through either Instagram or Facebook, because I would love to connect with you.
Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. If so, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help other women find this show. By the way, if you're loving this conversation and want more encouragement like this, join my email list at bit.ly/myselfcare. That is bit.ly/myselfcare. I have a planner launching soon that will help you put all this into action in your own life. I look forward to chatting with you again next week for another episode.